So we've spoken already about the importance of systems thinking as one of the pillars of global citizenship education. And here we are, in the surrounds of a beautiful example of a complex adaptive system. And we're here today to try to illustrate some of the principles of systems thinking and to try and see what we can learn from the natural world around us and what we can take into our practice as global citizenship education practitioners. Complex systems are made up of multiple parts, and all of those parts are ever changing. And here we are surrounded by many moving parts. And one principle or element of complex systems is shifting our thinking from looking at things in isolation to looking at them in relationship or in connection to lots of others. So even when we look around us, we see the water, we hear the birds, we can see some local shrubs, we can see bigger trees, and all of these variables interplay with each other. And what's really important in systems thinking is to understand that we can't control this, but we too are part of this system. So we can influence the system while we cannot control the system. And I think that that's really important as humans because sometimes we're maybe a little bit too power orientated. We think we can manage everything, we think everything is within our control. But what natural systems show us and reveal to us is that we're very much part of rather than separate to. And this is a great example of how a complex system operates. Here we have a key part of the system. And this illustrates not only systems thinking, but global citizenship education as well. Global citizenship education looks upstream, try to identify the root causes of where the issues and challenges that face our communities come from. And the stream, in a way, is giving us feedback, the volume, the speed of the water, the quality of the water, that tells us something about what's happening upstream. While also the environment around the stream is having an impact on the stream as well. But of course, the stream itself could be looked at not just as part of the system, but as a complex system itself. So if we were to zoom in on the stream, we would see lots of light and lots of different parts of it as a system. And this dynamic is key in systems thinking, the relationship between parts and wholes and how that dynamic evolves and is ever changing is key for us to understand in global citizenship education.
So here we are looking at an example of a complex system in sport. We're looking at Shamrock Rovers versus Drogheda United. And when we're talking about systems thinking in the context of sports, we're seeing live the principles of systems thinking in action. There's a constant interplay between parts and wholes. We've got two teams, but arguably one game. Both teams need each other, and each part of each team is moving, so the variables are complex because there's so many of them, and it's non-linear, it's not predictable what's going to happen. One last principle of how systems thinking work is that there is constantly feedback being exchanged within the complex system. And in the case of a football team, that comes in the shape of movement. So when one player moves, almost instinctively, the other players know where to go and what to do because of that movement. But because to the onlooker that all of these movements are happening simultaneously, at some stages it maybe can look chaotic, but it is very organized. But of course, there's other variables at play in complex systems, and we can see some of those around us, the fans, the floodlights, the weather, all of those have an impact on this complex system. we'll see in communities such as Drogheda the interplay between issues such as transport, employment, education, water, conflict. Many issues are at play here, and of course what better way of understanding systems thinking than to make sure our work in development education is applied. One framework that is useful for exploring systems thinking is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. This is a set of 17 goals to be achieved by 2030. 193 countries signed up to achieve these goals, and Ireland is one of those countries. It is critically important in global citizenship education to illustrate how individual action and movement can change a complex system. For many, this is an empowering realization.